All right. This is the top 10 lessons this week to hopefully increase your co-living IQ. Welcome back. My name is Quentin Went. For those who don't know, I am a husband, a father of two beautiful kids who are a perfect combination of amazing and at times a huge pain in the butt. I'm also a real estate investor. I specialize in co-living. I'm an expert on operating your co-living business on the PadSplit platform, primarily because I've worked at PadSplit for the last 4 years. Let's jump in to today's top 10 lessons. 1, here's my personal truth about hosting on PadSplit. PadSplit works for some investors and not so well for other investors. This is the question I pose. Do you have any idea why? If you're an investor in our portfolio or in our platform, do you have any idea why your PadSplit portfolio doesn't work out so well and why others are? This is a question that I spend all day, every day, pretty much obsessing about. So the question I always kind of boils down to successful co-living portfolios, they are highly profitable because of the operator and the operations. If you don't have really tight operations, or if you don't have a great operator, that's probably the primary reason why your portfolio isn't working. Stop there. All right. Number 2, avoid this mistake. Paying for a coach or a mentor for just the theory. You really should consider what you're paying for. So if you have to learn or copy their operational systems and framework that they prove how they make their money, that'd be the first thing that I would ask. Just let me make it easy for you, okay? Here it is. Here's the theory. You will stand to make more money when you rent out rooms individually in a single family home than if you rented it out to a single family. That's the theory. Now, your job is, if you've already paid for a mentor or a coach, get value for your hard-earned money. You're paying somebody to teach you how they're making money each month, not to kind of reiterate this theory and idea. I keep coming across so many people and investors that are like, yeah, I already paid for this person. I'm like, what did they teach you? Well, a buy box and how to convert properties from a single family into co-living property that has multiple rooms. I'm like, all right, those all make sense. And those are all theoretical. The question is, did anybody teach you how to make money in this new business that you're creating? That's a problem. You're there to understand what their systems are, what their processes are, how their actual operating business is making money, because we're in the business of doing this. We love the affordable housing mission, but if you were losing money every single month, you would close down that business because it's not a profitable business. We are entrepreneurs. We're here to build a profitable business using co-living as an exit strategy, okay? Learn their systems. That's what you're there for. If you're about to purchase, this is number 3. If you're about to purchase your first co-living property, stop and listen very carefully. Tell yourself this simple truth, and it has to resonate with you. Every single person, everyone that you work with during this acquisition process will make money and be profitable off of you. Do you understand that? Way before you as a co-living operator make a single penny, your realtor, your general contractor, your closing attorneys, the utility companies, the furniture providers, Target, Walmart, Wayfair, Amazon, all of these people and companies will make money before you do. Even after this property gets converted and you go live, the way and order of operation for how you're going to get paid goes like this. Rents collected. PadSplit gets their cut. They take the first 10 days of your booking and they take 8% of day 11 moving forward. It's a platform fee. It's a cost of doing business. Your mortgage company will get paid. Your insurance company will get paid. Your utilities company gets paid. Your property manager gets paid. Everybody gets paid from the rent that's collected on this property. You, the investor, are the last to make money. If you haven't thought about that in how you're looking at your spreadsheet, please stop and consider that. Don't jump right in because you have FOMO or FOMO or FOBO or FOMO, like fear of missing out or fear of a better offer. Just stop and think about how the business actually works. Okay, great. This is the next one. 4, nobody talks about this. The importance of how to analyze the data that digital platforms like PadSplit, Furnish Finder, Zillow, Roomies, Zumper, Facebook Marketplace, all this data that's available to you, it's amazing data. This is where the distinction kind of starts happening between an experienced operator, and a newbie. The data that's out there, you may see the data and read it for what its face value, right? And I and other profitable hosts, we read the data kind of like the Matrix. I'm seeing pictures and numbers and data that you may not be seeing the same picture. Like, you have to understand the nuance behind some of the data that's presented to you, because if you read it at just face value, you could be leading yourself and convincing yourself into making poor decisions as an operator, where you'll later regret once you start understanding the nuance behind the data. I'll give you some examples. Think about, what does the average room price mean? Where are the rooms located? Because you'll get data on a zip code level. Well, zip codes are gerrymandered. So if it's just an average across an entire zip code, where are those properties located? How old are they? What kind of properties am I competing with? Is it just the price that I take as, hey, this is gospel, it's going to be 175? You can list it at 175, but you should ask the questions. Where are rooms actually booking? Are people having to put promotions on these things? So 175 is actually 159? Did you underwrite for 159? Is that where rooms are really getting booked? What's happening in the recency? Get recency bias for the data. How old is this data? Is it from the beginning of time, which it is, or is it over the last 60, 90 days, which would then impact my new business coming on board? What's the nuance behind all of this data? This is the difference between you as a newbie and me, who's a professional, and I do this every single day, and other seasoned PadSplit investors or co-living operators who understand how to read the nuance behind the data. If you're working with somebody, do they understand the nuance behind the data, or are they just telling you? And I go back to this example, a realtor will tell a new investor, hey, the data says 92% occupied. So they're underwriting properties at 8% vacancy, at 92% occupied. They have no idea that there's only 24 rooms in that zip code. That's some serious nuance that you're missing there. So just make sure you understand who you're working with and the quality and understanding of how they read the data. There's a difference between data and the information that the data is telling you. So just keep that in mind. Number 5, this is the real reason you're still not profitable as a new PadSplit host. You operate your PadSplit business like it's a passive investment. You haven't experienced enough to know the difference yet, and yet you still have this idea in your mind that, like, hey, the platform handles that. Handles what? What part of your operating business do they handle? There are a lot of things that PadSplit does, and it's amazing. But if you think they're going to operate your entire co-living business, you're sorely mistaken. You can operate it that way, but it's not going to be optimized, and it's not going to be profitable. It's not going to meet your P&L expectations that you already underwrote for. You got to dive in there and start understanding, what are the operating moving parts of my business? Do I have an understanding about it? Do I know what controls are in place? Do I have a framework? I don't know. Do I have a blueprint for how things should be done? I don't know. But you currently are an operator and you currently own a property, because as soon as you convert a house into co-living and you put it on the platform, you're live. You're operating a live operational business. But if you have no systems, kind of like flying blind. Number 6, if you're a new host and you hired a third-party property manager, great. All you really know about that property manager is, what do they charge per room? What do they charge per property? What is the cost plus in terms of how they're going to bill you? What happens every single time that they charge you? You're not alone, unfortunately, because most new investors come in thinking, hey, I'm a real estate investor. I focus on acquisition. I'm going to own this asset. I'm going to turn it over to this third-party property manager. PadSplit's only 5-6 years old, so there aren't a lot of good operators that are running at scale. But here's the hard truth that I need to tell you, is that if you don't know how your property manager is running your business, you're in trouble, because the operations is where you make your money. So what's the property manager doing in these scenarios? How is he de-risking your business for worst case scenario? Number 7, nobody talks about this. Your hired property manager is running their business, not your business. So let me try to explain this to you. Most successful entrepreneurs that you've been following and watching on YouTube, if you're like me, the Alex Hormozis of the world, the Gary Vaynerchuks of the world, Martells of the world, the Pace Morbys of the world, they'll tell you, hey, vendors and consultants, that's who you learn the business from. So if you're hiring a third-party property manager, Your job shouldn't just be able to, hey, turning over your entire business to them to say, operate my business for me. You should be learning all of the lessons you can from these people that you're paying. How are they operating your business? What is the systems? What are the blueprints? What's the framework that they're implementing that yields a profit? Because if you're sitting there and you have a property that isn't profitable, is it you? Is it the operator? Is it the third party property manager? Where's the problem? It's primarily the operations and the framework and how the business is being run. If you hired somebody and they're not functionally creating a profit, we have a problem. Your job, if you're paying, and this is my suggestion, just like others, if you're paying a third party property manager, it's not for them to just own the business and you turn it over to them. It is for you to actually learn how they're operating a co-living business because you want to keep buying properties. You only should be buying properties if you have pretty good consistency across your entire systems that say, I'm going to add on another property. Are we ready for that? Do we follow the same principles that lead to a profitable property? Yes. Let's add more. Right now, there's a lot of hosts out there that keep buying more properties, adding them to a portfolio that is underperforming and under operating because they don't have the systems in place and the framework to run a good operating business. If that sounds familiar to you, stop. Stop adding to the confusion and the complexity by buying another property. Stop, consolidate, get your house in order, work with somebody, find somebody, call me, do something, but get your house in order so that your operations is actually generating the profit you need. Okay. Big questions you should ask a property manager. Think about it this way. What systems do they have in place where they're de-risking your asset and your business? What systems do they have in place to improve how fast a room is booking? How fast to fill a property when somebody moves out? What systems do they have in place where how do I keep paying customers happy and keep them paying? And then they're so happy they're referring somebody else. If they don't have any of these things, you need to stop and start asking your property manager some of these questions. You'd be kind of surprised. If they don't have an answer, who's running your business? Number 8, most new hosts don't realize operating a profitable co-living business on PadSplit takes consistent systems and processes. You hear me talk about it all the time. This is all I spend my time doing. So for the last 5 years, I've been analyzing everybody's successful business and even more importantly, everybody's non-successful business. That's what I spent time doing is identifying the framework that everybody's business follows and then developing a playbook and a blueprint that the most highly successful and most profitable operators have put into place so they can avoid the big potholes. They can maximize where they can maximize for profit. You see the things where they're squeezing the most opportunity out of. That's the blueprint. The framework is how I think about our co-living business. And I'll get into that for a second, right? Ask yourself in your own business, what is your operational framework to be profitable? Do you even have one? What blueprint are you following for consistency for profitability? Do you even have one? Do you even understand your underwriting spreadsheet is not a plan? That should just be a green light, red light, go, no go for am I buying this property? How can you even have an underwriting tool if you don't understand the operational business behind it and how to underwrite for that for the future? You need to understand, do I have a plan on how I'm making money? Do I have a strategy for how I'm building the business? All of these things are like things that all operators should be thinking about, all owners should be thinking about. A strategy is not a plan. A plan executes against some parts of the strategy, and you're consistent and you test, you take out the best, you throw out the worst, you retest again, and you optimize, and you leave here hopefully with a framework of how you operate your business and a blueprint for how you're executing it on a day-to-day so that you get consistent results, which in our world is hopefully profitability. All right, 9, avoid this mistake. Don't be so naive and don't be so thirsty that you want to get into the game and you want to rush in and think that, hey, this digital platform is going to run my operating business. Our business is not just owning the home. We have between 4 and 10, I've seen some 12 and 15 units, but between 4 and 8 or 9, let's say, rooms in a house. Inside of each room is a human being. We're in the people business. And we're in the people business in a very, very aggressive and high risk demographic which is high, like low income, affordable housing. We are, as my friend would say, we're doing God's work, right? And I hate to take his name in there, but I think about it that way. We are providing an asset that doesn't currently exist. And the reason being, in my own opinion, is that it's a high risk asset. We are providing affordable, high quality, safe housing to a low income bracket demographic of customers. That's our business. So do you think a digital platform will handle that? Or do you think high operations and good operators? Because that's the difference between those who are profitable in co-living and those who are not. In co-living as a marketplace, it could range from I house pregnant teenagers through a nonprofit agency. That's co-living. I house, what do you call it, customers that get recently released from penitentiaries. That's a business. Seniors, Golden Girls houses. That's a business. Affordable workforce housing. That's a business. All of which comes with nuance and challenges and opportunities. What's your business doing to maximize on one of those or all of those? It depends. But do you have a plan that you're going to be the operator, or you're going to hire a really good team to be the operator, or do you rely on a digital platform to run your business for you? Because it's really hard to have canned answers, even from a bot, because you've all experienced it. You call customer services or you wait online for a AI generated thing. We deal with humans and people every single day. Do you want to rely and leave your business to a digital platform? Not sure. Ask yourself real questions. And finally, number 10 lesson. Someone asked me, if I had to start all over again, what would I do? Well, first of all, I'd go back and find a really hands-on mentor or coach. Like, I cannot tell you how amazing it is to be a sidekick of somebody that as I go through each individual phase, I had the opportunity to pick up the phone and talk to my mentors and coaches, right? And I'll give shout outs to a lot of guys. Like, I loved talking to Franco when I first got into it because he was so much more experienced. I loved talking to Daryl because he had so much context and gave the things I thought were massive. He was like, that's not a big deal at all. I loved talking to large property managers, and I had this crazy availability because I had access to all of these people because I was an employee. So I was able to pick and choose and pick and choose and pick and choose and ask so many questions to collect all this information so that in my own head, I was building out this thesis of how I would do co-living. If you don't have that ability, find somebody who's willing to coach you and actually be hands-on. Do not buy theory. Talk to other people that are working with these coaches and make sure that you're getting value for what it is you think you want, not what you thought you heard on a video webinar or whatever the case may be. You have to leave whatever program you're working with a plan and an executable thing that you can operate into your business. Okay. It's not just theory. It has to be operations, because in our world, we make our money on the operational side. Okay. So let's go back into this. How did I get started? Well, I broke down the business into this framework that I've created. And that's how I created this colivingiQ coaching and mentorship program, is that I broke it down into this. My framework breaks out into this acquisition IQ idea, and it covers everything between analyzing markets, financing and acquiring deals and underwriting deals, converting that property into the final product that I want. And there's a ton of information in there around like, well, during the conversion process, who's informing me, or how am I informing myself on the product that I want to yield, the final product that I'm going to publish and market out? Am I targeting a $156 customer or a $206 customer? And do I have enough information about that area? Will it support it? Do I have enough information about the quality of the room? Will it support it? And do I have enough information about, hey, the quality of the experience? Will it support it? All of these things fall into the acquisition IQ mentality. So in our world, we think about that as we're acquiring properties. We reverse engineer what is the product we're going to market, and then we go find and acquire and finance and renovate all under the same idea, because it's reverse engineered. The second part about this framework is then I get into the hosting, because that's where I make my money, is in the operational hosting of this property. So I focus on what is the experience that I'm marketing out to the world? What is the room and the property that I'm marketing out into the world? Because I want them to look at my marketing and convert over into a sale, which in our world is a booking. So that hosting IQ and the hosting mentality of like reverse engineering that process of, this is the product that I'm sending out to the world via the marketing channels we have available, whether it be social media, whether it be on the PadSplit platform. I'm maximizing how I'm marketing this product to get in front of the most eyes and appeal to the customer that I want to work with. Because you have to remember, even in the PadSplit world, customers and members are all members of PadSplit, the platform. They do not have the right to be a customer of mine in my house. I make that determination because I'm the owner and the operator. So I have systems in place that say, you're just not a good fit for my house. Got to follow the same HUD laws and landlord laws that you guys do. But at the end of the day, it's my property, my asset. So I get to make the determination, are you a good fit for me? Do I want to work with you as a customer? It's got drawbacks, right? I'm more selective. But the trade-off for me is I charge more and I have a better quality person and a better quality experience and a better quality community. But that's my product that I'm selling. It doesn't have to be yours. As long as you have an understanding of the product and experience that you're selling and are you marketing it correctly? The problem we run into is when you're marketing Disney World, but I show up and it's a busted down Six Flags where people are falling off the rides. Those are two completely different things. You sold me this, but I'm experiencing this. Not exactly the way that we build raving fans, right? That's the way I break it down is, do you have systems in place? If I were to go back and say, hey, do I know how I'm acquiring beyond, let's go get a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,800 square foot. That's not good enough. Why am I looking at this area? What's the pricing I can expect? What's the conversion they're going to expect? Who am I competing with in this area? That's how I think about acquisition. What's the demand side look like? Are there even customers there? And then when I go live, who am I competing against? Who am I attracting? Who am I repelling? Do I have systems in place and a blueprint to execute against those questions? And that's how I build a successful co-living business. These are the top 10 lessons I want you to take away from this week. Hopefully we'll share more lessons and help you become more profitable, because at the end of the day, that's the goal. Take a look at the website in the bio. Take a look at the information that we provide and the services. If you are going to become a co-living operator, before you invest $300,000, invest your time and money to learn the business, to see if you even want to get into this business, because it's not turnkey. It's not. The best operators make the most money. And if you want to outsource it to somebody else, that's okay. But you better build your team correctly and be able to hold them accountable for the business that you're running. My hope to you is that you learn the operations correctly, you implement the operations and you put out a product you can be proud of that is highly profitable for you, that you circle back around and you want to buy another property, implement the same systems, you circle back around and you build a portfolio of these. Best of luck. If you have any questions, hit me up in the DMs. Take care.